Simon will often comment about the future development of Hytale. Jeb, take notes. Minecraft, take notes about how much people enjoy vertical slabs. These two comments must have been left by people who pirate music based on how much they enjoy taking notes, but there is a serious point that Jeb should be active in the community, and actually he is, just on a social media that most people don't use called Blue Sky. On that social media, he was asked if he played Hytale, and over the last week he has, and when asked what he thought about it, he said that he'd like it to be more different to Minecraft because it's very polished, but the feeling he gets when he plays is that he'd rather just play Minecraft. Kind of relatable, actually. It's very early though, and he knows modding will be an important aspect, and he'll definitely play more later. It seems as though his thoughts on Hytale seem to have shifted his opinion on vertical slabs and integrating more dungeons features, and if you want to hear about those things, as well as the other major changes that came to Minecraft this week with the Online Safety Act, well, that's what we're going to go into today, because this is Q&A Saturday, and hello, I'm AbbyX3Cat. This is the series where we answer your big questions about Minecraft updates, life, the universe, and everything in between, but let's get started with this vertical half slab thing, because people have been asking about this forever, and even though Minecraft has come out specifically against it by saying it would inhibit creativity, it's something that Hytale just decided to add. There are vertical half slabs in that game right now, and so why can't these be in Minecraft? Well, Weevil Time asked Jeb this directly, saying that for a long time, vertical slabs were denied because they inhibited creativity, but I want to know what led to that conclusion. It seems strange that adding more options in a sandbox game would lead to people building less creatively. And Jeb says, well, I don't know why people say inhibited creativity. That seems like some kind of meme that people love to repeat. This is something that made me seriously embarrassed because I realized that I'd been saying this all along, and so before we come back to the end of his response here, I think it should be pointed out that someone did respond by saying that reasoning actually came directly from the official Minecraft website itself, linking to the feedback post. It's called Previously Considered Suggestions, and what I love is Jeb didn't decide to bury this. He responded with, realizing that actually this was something that came out from an official Minecraft source, to be fair, a community manager rather than anyone else, but then KMB, who you might know from this channel, making quite a few of the update guide worlds, as well as a few other things, but KMB responds by saying, to be fair, that list was last updated in 2020, it would be cool to see this list be revisited, unless that would give away too much of development plans, and Jeb says, yeah, I spoke with our community manager, and we will look into it when there is time. This was 3 days ago at time of recording, and sadly, the last update is still the 7th of May 2020. The previously considered suggestions list is a casualty of the pandemic, and honestly, I think now is the time, especially of Hytale existing, to get back into the swing of saying, you know, yeah, even though we'd stopped doing this at one point, now is the time to come back to it, and so is now the time to come back to vertical slabs? Well, Jeb doesn't think that they inhibit creativity, but he does think that the last time we seriously discussed this topic, the team argued it was because of UI and UX and tech considerations. In other words, saying that the user interface, the actual way you do it, would have been clunky, the user experience, telling people about that would have been hard, but also there were tech considerations, I guess because right now there are only full blocks in Minecraft and some of them are just taken up by a slab, so it might be tricky on a tech level to have that sort of variant. All of these things seem like they could be solved, but we'll come back to that later because at the same time as Jeb playing a game where they clearly had taken a lot of inspiration from Minecraft ideas like vertical slabs, he also played a game where a lot of this inspiration came from other Minecraft universe titles, and so when someone asked, hi Jeb, would the team ever be open to adding blocks from the Minecraft Dungeons game to vanilla, or do they prefer to add new, unique blocks when thinking about updates? I ask because there's a lovely stone pillar texture in Minecraft Dungeons that I'd love to use in my vanilla build someday, and the response is, I can't say anything about future updates, but I keep encouraging the team to be influenced by all of our game and products because it builds better coherence. In other words, this stone pillar texture, well, we're not getting a confirmation on this. I would say this is a maybe if you really stretch it, but what I would say is that, yeah, actually, there is a real chance of seeing other Minecraft Dungeons features because Jeb actively encourages it, although interestingly, it also implies that, yeah, Jeb can only encourage it. A lot of people are going to work on what they're going to work on, which is kind of fun, and which raises the next question. Before we can really come back and absorb Jeb's responses on Slab, I think now is the time to talk about the biggest Minecraft story this week, which is Minecraft requiring age verification notification for social features. This is something I think I was the only news source for a while. I think I've seen a video from Wattles about it too, but very few people are talking about this. And Lucario over here says, are they begging to lose customers and the community? And to be clear here, this is a law in the UK and other regions of the world. This is a law that you have to age verify people to make sure that you aren't putting underage people at risk of all sorts of social media features. Personally, if you think that it's being done in a clunky way, either that's because they're following the law to the letter, or they're deliberately going over the top to make this something that comes out bad. Again, like verifying IDs instead of just looking at someone's account and working out, well, they've had this for 18 years, so they're probably over 18. I think these are the sorts of things that really yell, we want this not to expand into other countries, which means that if you disagree with this too, Microsoft might be on your side. Again, personally, I think that there should be some form of sensible regulation, no algorithms and stuff like that for under 16-year-olds. I think there are lots of reasonable things, because I grew up on an internet that was like the Wild West, you might be the Chris Hansen internet, where you might be speaking to a 14-year-old girl in this chat room, or maybe it's a 40-year-old man who likes to pretend. Who's to say? And to tie this into my next comment here, speaking about the first long-term relationship, my first ever short-term relationship was I played a game where you had to build your room and you had to get furniture. It was hard to get, and I had quite a bit of furniture, so I attracted a girlfriend, and I did give her a sofa in exchange for being my girlfriend. I don't know what I've invented here, but then the next morning I woke up and it was revealed that she was a man. He actually lied to me and deceived me and pretended to be a girl of my age so he could get my sofa. And honestly, those sorts of trust issues are ones we just don't have these days. But speaking of trust issues, since I've been here since the first relationship, it makes me wonder if your relationship with this world is longer, definitely more stable, than any of your human relationships. And I thought this question was so fun, but also kind of surreal, because I don't know that I've had, I certainly haven't had a romantic relationship, but I think I've only had a couple of friendships that have lasted longer than my Minecraft world, which is a reason to have something like this you care about. Have something in your world that ties past you into current you, just like how Minecraft needs to have something that ties the game together, because while people are looking at those vertical slabs and that block from earlier and saying these are such no-brainer ideas, the fact that Hytale would implement them is what makes it so simple. But then we also get comments from people like Souls25 who go the exact opposite direction. They're starting to make Minecraft look more like a mod pack every day than ever, and especially more lifeless animals we do not want that change the most iconic baby animals we know and love. I hate it. You might think it's such a simple thing to update the baby mobs, we need more, but if the baby mobs are already getting people in their NIMBY phase, this is the game I love, this is the game that's been with me for longer than my wife, or whatever the case, then I see how you start to get protective of it. And that's why I think that out of this whole baby update that we're currently seeing them work on, I think Anne Thornton's comment is one of the ones I'd like to highlight, because she says, my lowest hanging fruit of hopes for this update is that they should fix the baby villager head size in Java to match its baby zombie villager and all baby villagers in Bedrock. So weird to cure a baby zombie villager and see his brain case shrink, and then finally give us swamp and jungle villagers, especially if the game's going to go ahead with the cruelty of the villager trade rebalances, which I think is stupid, because those who abuse mending or unbreaking who are going to overcome it the most easily anyway. To be clear here, I don't think that they've really indicated that they're making much movement. They're keeping it alive, but there's clearly some other changes that need to come to make it actually popular, because even quite reasonable people like you, Anne Thornton, I assume you're reasonable. Maybe you're not reasonable. Maybe in your day-to-day life you yell at people and throw plates at the wall, but I assume that you're a reasonable person who does not go on the internet and steal furniture from 14-year-old boys. And if that's the case, then the fact that you dislike it and so many like you dislike it, that's one of the big reasons I think it's unlikely they're just going to implement it. So anyone who's worried about that, don't worry. They'll give us probably a good sign, just like how you might have had a good sign from a recent short on my channel that apparently a lot of people are enjoying, that 3DS Minecraft is actually pretty good. But Radio Marco asks, but now can you beat Minecraft on the 3DS? I think I would love to do this, actually. I think that I have played Minecraft on every single platform now and shown that on my channel, but actually beating Minecraft 3DS, whole other beast. The problem with this, though, is that actually doing it on a 3DS console, impossible to record, so I need to work out an emulation setup that works well for this. And honestly, I don't know why, but I have a real hard time getting emulators to work on my phone. Maybe I'm becoming a boomer. Maybe I'm becoming someone who slowly is going to be like, oh, why are they changing the baby mobs and ruining my game? But ultimately, the question becomes, should that be an attitude that should dictate the future of the game? I think that if you look at the pattern of drops recently, they have been taking quite a conservative approach, and then in winter, they go kind of crazy, and whether that crazy is actually enough is up for people's decision, but they added a whole new weapon this winter, and then last winter, they added an entirely new biome with a creaking mob. Everyone forgets about it, but it was a crazy addition, just one that doesn't seem to have as big of an impact, genuinely, as the Firefly Bush. Like, look at this post that Minecraft just made on their social media. A single yellow emoji has people going crazy, because as it turns out, yes, even though people like me might say that we want to see big crazy changes, and I think that I'm right about that, apparently we're wrong. And that's why I think that if anyone who has my energy of, I love this game, it's been with me for 15 years, and so don't you dare change it, you know, the boomer NIMBY Minecraft audience, if you will, if anyone tries to take that energy, I think that it is worth saying that actually, nah, it's worth making things better. And weirdly, I think Jeb actually kind of implies that that isn't the big reason they're not adding vertical slabs. If you read this again, where he says, yeah, inhibited creativity is not the real reason, the real reason is UI, UX, and tech, it almost sounds like, okay, yeah, well, there's a good reason we don't have vertical slabs, but actually, really take a moment to think about this one again. He's saying that the reason that they couldn't add it, it's not some grand creative decision. He doesn't believe that that even exists in his brain. The reason they couldn't do it last time, whenever that was user interface, user experience, and tech considerations. That to me makes this not sound like a soft way of saying no, but actually a soft way of saying, yeah, then if we could just solve those problems, we could add it to the game. And think about what those problems are. So the user experience of it would be really, really easy, and the user interface too, because we already have blocks that can be placed both sideways and at the bottom of a block. The trapdoor, it can even move between those two states, and even if that wasn't possible, all you'd have to do is make a brand new vertical slab block, and that wouldn't have been possible under the old tech considerations. Again, years ago, it used to be that there was a block limit that they could never go over, but now Minecraft has proven they'll add 1 billion blocks for anything. They added 8 variants of every single cobble block they just added to the game, even though they would add far less creativity than, say, a vertical slab for every horizontal one we have. I think that this sounds almost like Jeb is saying, yeah, there's the only reasons we couldn't do it were things that are very easily solvable, and that whole creativity inhibited thing, I don't even remember it. So 6 years ago, maybe they felt like it was a bad idea. Maybe they summarized it by saying creativity inhibiting, but it sounds like right now we could see vertical slabs in the game. And if this isn't too much of a stretch, I think that it actually would perfectly fit a spring drop, because if we see in the winter drop every year them actually make crazy changes to the game, and if we see in the spring drops of the year simple building changes, I think it makes sense that a simple building change that would make people go crazy, just like how the Firefly Blush did, I think the equivalent would be adding vertical slabs. And so is vertical slabs going to come in this drop? Well, it would be kind of like a baby block, right? So it fits the baby drop. But if we exclude that, I do think that, yeah, seeing very shortly, be it this year or in the next drop, I think that this is something that I actually think I will put on my little bingo card of things that really seem like they just make sense. Speaking of things that just make sense, I also think that seeing more Minecraft Dungeons inspiration being on the list is a good thing too, and that's why I would finish this video by saying that Jeb has played Hytale, and not only has it given him a real thought about what Minecraft should be, and indeed what he likes about Minecraft, I'm glad he likes playing survival as much as me, but also I would say that it means that playing Hytale and seeing a game with horizontal slabs and realizing it just kind of works flawlessly, and now the community knows it, probably means the odds of vertical slabs is much, much higher than you think, despite it being a taboo forever, and also the odds of seeing more features from Minecraft Dungeons, it seems as though it's something Jeb is pushing for, and so while he is still Chief Creative Officer, I've got some high hopes for what that will turn into. Speaking of what it will turn into, this video is brought to you by long-term relationships. Have you ever considered getting into, like, you know, kind of like a short-term relationship, but longer? Well, if so, the long-term relationship is great for you, and if you already have a long-term survival world, or ambitions to start one, why not tie it into your long-term relationship? Because after all, if you can keep a Minecraft world going forever, why can't you keep a person going forever? Use code TOYCAT to get 10% off, and remember, if you really love it, put a ring in it. Which definitely doesn't tie into the theme of my next Let's Play. Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night.